Arthur. A bit of a tough evening. I mean, good start, but second half's kind of tapered off. Guess what were your reflections on the game?
Yeah, I think that's a fair reflection. First half, probably our best half since we've returned from the break. Our football was very good up until the last third. Still not enough in the front third, to be honest. We made some poor decisions. Should have created some better opportunities considering how frequently we were getting to that point, with controlled possession. And then you can see it on half-time, probably against the run of play. Should defend better in the box. And then the game changes in two moments in the second half. I mean, in the end, we started the second half well. The first 7 minutes, we're actually in their half again, looking to obviously create opportunities, and it's a poor turnover, something that we speak about consistently, and leads to a goal on transition immediately. And 2 minutes later, obviously, against run of play, Taylor fouls on the edge of the box, gets his second yellow, and then at 10 men, when you're playing Melbourne City, doesn't matter what the circumstances are, they're obviously going to, put us to the sword. I'm still proud of the group because 10 men, for, almost 35, 40 minutes or so, to only concede, really another goal in that time. Okay, they created some chances. We kept trying to play. We didn't just throw the towel in as well. So in reflection, that's the context of the game, and we'll brush ourselves off and get ready for the next one.
I mean, just how much of a sucker punch is it when you concede on half-time like that, especially when you've put together such a good spell and you haven't been rewarded at one end and you do concede just like that just before half-time?
It's difficult. It's obviously difficult to accept that, you're down 1-0 at half-time after that first half. But in saying that again, the first 5 minutes of the second half, we come out and pretty much resume what was happening in the first half. And like I said, there's two key moments in the second half, and it's a turnover and obviously a red card. And basically that's going to make it very difficult against a team like Melbourne City.
And the red card straight from kickoff too after the second goal. But
yeah.
Given the nature of the concession just before half-time, it was a second ball and you kind of compressed the pitch and made it very difficult for City to play out.
Yeah.
What was the message at half-time, given the circumstances?
Look, like I said, because if you get caught up in being 1-0 at half-time, I think, was it a fair reflection of the first half? I don't think so. So we showed, certain things of, way we were pressing, which we thought we were getting our press quite good, in terms of, up in their half and winning certain balls and being able to attack. And then it was about just the way we were using our midfield, when we had the ball, and I thought it was working quite well. Like I said, I don't think, complete fluidity, but, we got ourselves into good positions. Their press, we could sort of play through their press consistently. But of course, you also need to do something with that, and I still felt in the front third, some of our individuals were just, probably giving the ball away too easily under pressure, making poor decisions. And they score a goal on the stroke of half time. I still don't think the overall results based on that goal at half time, because in fairness that happened last week as well, and it doesn't really change the way we do it. I think the game is based on two incidents in the second half, and then it can be anything, to be honest.
Speaking of that second half and the nature of the second half, how impactful was Thurgate's injury or coming into that? How much of an effect did you think that it had on the second half?
I don't think it still has an effect in the long run in the second half, because I still felt we started the same way we finished, in terms of that whole half of the first half. Obviously, Gus had a pretty nasty gash on his leg, which couldn't get closed up in time. So we were trying to get him stitched up. In the end, we didn't have enough time to get it completed, and obviously we don't want to put him in a risk category because it was a pretty deep gash. So we made a change there. But like I said, that's still not having a bearing on why the second half turns out the way it does. We know what Gus gives us, but that's not the reason why the second half was the way it was.
Well, obviously you mentioned Thurgate's injury. Have you got any other players potentially in the way back? Anyone else come out of this game that was maybe a little bit ginger as well?
It's a change room right now, which has got a few battle scars in it, to be honest, aside of Gus. We've got an extra couple of days turnaround to get right by Wednesday. Hopeful to have Matt German back in the team. We decided not to play him tonight because of the severity of what he suffered as well. Was it only 10 days ago? Feels like many games ago, but it was only 10 days ago. And, we're going to have to see what that room pulls up like as well. Like, obviously, we're a team that, we have a squad, but, the more changes we make, it's not so simple, not so straightforward. But, we'll still give opportunities to guys who train well in the lead up to the next game, and we'll go again.
Arthur, the story of Newcastle as kind of having at least strong periods in game or even playing a whole game really well and kind of not being able to have that reflected in the scoreboard, not being able to score when you're playing well and kind of conceding a lot of sucker punch kind of goals.
Yeah.
Does that make it hard, I guess, from your perspective as a coach to keep going with the message or to keep the spirits high if it keeps kind of falling flat?
No, not at all, to be honest. Like, I don't, the message is consistent. It's the journey we're on, it's the journey that I've taken on. I know it's hard because it's 3-0, but I come away with so much to look forward from tonight's game. To be honest, we've won games where I haven't been pleased. I felt we weren't playing well enough, and it's nice to get those results when that happens. But we came to Melbourne City tonight, who's the champions, who have been embedding the way they want to play for a very long time, and we had the ball. We got ourselves into very good positions in the first half in Melbourne, and probably inconsistency aligns itself with inconsistency in the way the league's been run, in fairness, Like, we've been trying to get our feet back. We've been physically trying to get back to the standards that we had prior to the break. And we saw some really promising parts of that tonight. So for me, I take away a lot of it. And, we didn't get the outcome that we want, but I'm extremely optimistic about what I saw for large periods.
And just also a word on Marco Tilio, who obviously kind of changed the game with some of his play. Is it really difficult, I suppose, from a coach's perspective, to prepare for a player who kind of isn't necessarily starting every week, who kind of you don't know how much of him you're going to see, and yet he can be so damaging when he plays? Does that make it hard for you?
No, not necessarily, to be honest, because I don't really think too much about the other team and what their weapons are. I think they've got weapons all over the field. So I think, you single out a young player like Marco, who's obviously done really well. I think you'd be taking away too much from guys like Connor, who came off the bench and moving to Germany, and you've got Curtis Good, who doesn't even have to get on the field tonight. So we're at a different stage to them. I don't compare ourselves to anyone else. I know where we're at and know what we need to do to get better and to progress as an organisation.
So obviously our physical contest tonight, was that a thing you guys set out to do, to be physical, impose yourselves? Or was that just a thing that happened in the moment of the game?
I don't actually think it was that physical, to be honest with you. Like, I definitely felt the last game we played, we weren't able to compete the same way. And today, like I said, up until those periods in the matches, which were really turning points, I felt there was two teams that were aggressive in their approach, that both have an aggressive style of play. And, we were able to compete for a long period, but not the whole period. And that's our challenge.
Thanks, guys. James, we'll head over to you on Zoom.
Yeah, Arthur, mate, you just mentioned that. I mean, is it the difference between yourselves and, say, the Melbourne Cities at the moment is winning those key moments, whether it's defensively just before half-time or it's at the other end of the box? Is that what you learned out of this?
I think you could find a host of reasons of what the differences are from every level. From club level to how long they've been, getting to the point to put this team on the park that plays this way. They didn't definitely start like this to get to this point. There were periods in this club's history as well where winning wasn't as simple no matter what they did. And obviously they've turned the corner over the last, basically since PK came into the role, really, in fairness, so credit to him. But that took a long time to get there, and that's with a lot of resources invested into that project as well. So it's really easy to highlight a game and talk about a game in its only moments, but I can't really look at it like that because, in fairness, we're at an early stage and we've got different variables that we deal with to build our team and where we want to go, and even simple things as like, how does the January window work for a team who's needs to strengthen compared to another team? So in essence, like I said, I felt our contribution to tonight for large periods was exceptional, and we weren't good enough in the end, and we need to get better, and that's part of where we're going.
I mean, Patrick was very, again, I think he's the third or fourth coach that's come in and said they were excellent tonight.
Yep.
Again, it's how long's a piece of string, but how do you convert those periods of play into points? Because I know there's a fair bit
we get back on the training track, when we have the opportunities to train, you know, we do a lot of work to get the players to improve as individuals, as a group, as a team, and that's all you can really do. You know, like that's basically the job. You know, you review it, you look at the areas that we could have been better, and like I said, I felt areas were very good, and I felt the difference is sometimes that, you know, when they're getting into those positions, there's a certain level that they've got, that they've built over time or they've signed, that gives them that cutting edge, which is what they do really well.
In terms of Angus and Jordan O'Doherty, are they likely? Are they in doubt Wednesday? Obviously, you said Gus is cut.
Yeah.
Jordan rolled his ankle.
Yeah, it's too early to tell, Jimmy. Like, obviously it's not looking great, in fairness. So it's not just them two. There's probably another one as well in the mix there. But, you know, we'll recover well. We'll see, you know, whatever we have to do medically to assess them, and hopefully they're both contributing again on Wednesday.
You'd be reasonably confident that Matt Yerman would be right, given that Taylor's certainly out, and obviously Riley Walton's the other option.
Yep, I'm confident, yeah.
And on Taylor, I remember they just 4 decisions made, or just I imagine the first one was a decision as centre-back makes. Does he risk chance of a goal for that, or what did you make of the 2 cards?
I think they're warranted from what I can see. So, you know, he's obviously tried to play the ball, and, you know, his timing's a bit off. And in the end, you know, he's been a really solid contributor since he's come into the fold. So, you know, we'll review it and hopefully improve those areas in terms of just how you use your feet in critical moments.